So this again comes from the science of mind. And it says we must instill into the mind the fundamental proposition that good is without bounds. Only good and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23. We must get this concept. Rather than continuing to think there is a power of evil opposed to the power of good, we experience good and evil because we perceive a presence of duality rather than unity. So when we're being tested and we're growing and expanding and we're doing things new, when we have we have two minds, we aren't gonna go. We have to have the one mind, and the one mind is connected to the God mind of the Christ self. We can't have split thinking. So you have to keep going go to the right, keep going to the right. It's like, forming it when you got to keep working it. Same thing with our mind and our belief. When we have a new belief and we're not we got to step in, we play with it. We're like, oh, I don't know. So the more we eat with it, sleep with it, all of it, we bathe with it. This unity versus it's powerful. And non-judgment and vulnerability, and whoo, I'm on fire, ladies.
You are on fire.
And that makes me think, can I add to that? Because I just recently saw this post, and it's one that I've seen before, but it's when you're talking about unity versus duality, it's like there was this question about a professor. It's recently circulated on Facebook, but this professor said that because evil exists and God created everything, then God is evil. And then the student responded to it and said, is there cold? And he says, of course there's cold. And he says, no, that's actually cold is a word that we have added, but what it really is, absence of heat. Is there darkness? Of course, no. Darkness is the word we have created, but it's actually absence of light. So what you're saying is we have to embrace God, goodness, all of that, because we've added a word, which is the devil, the enemy, all of that, when really all it is absence of God, right? So evil is only absence of God, but it's God that we have to align with. And so what you're saying is exactly the same thing. We've assigned a word which has now taken on a persona and a meaning and a something that a definition or an entity of its own, which you're saying is the duality, when we're actually, that's not there at all. It's just this. It's just God.
Yeah, it's how we're perceiving it. It's how we're perceiving it until we don't perceive it that way anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is. We got to keep moving and expand. I mean, we don't have to do anything but choosing it and surrounding ourselves. And what are we thinking? Where's your mind? And one thing I do, and I learned this from one of my clients, he's constantly whistling and humming and I do that throughout the day. And some have picked up on it. They're like, oh, you're whistling like me. And I say, this is hum, because when you whistle and hum, your mind can't be thinking. So Heidi, because what I heard you say, you're an overthinker. Start humming, start whistling, and even when I'm around toxic people, I had a couple neighbors that were toxic, and if they're outside, I was just like happy and singing, and instead of me going into judging. So try it. Humming, singing. That way you can't, this thing doesn't rule you or hijack you. It can be hijacked.
Think of my grandmother. She'd be driving down the road humming hymns all the time, and I find myself doing it all the time. I'm just like, all the hymns that she would. It just cracks me up because I'm just like, oh, okay. No worries.
Spreading the good news.
Okay. Do you know, was it you, Tam, that talked about, I know it was a doctor that I was with in the certification. She'd said it, when you have a meditation, it helps you really direct your thoughts and calm your body. But when you literally make those sounds like which is a hum, it connects, and I'm not the science person, but it really, not just the difference in our brain, but how it connects these nerve endings and how, did you say that? Who said that?
It
Or was
may
it
have been me.
Stacy?
We talked about the nerve endings in the neck, or was it Stacy? You're muted.
You're
You're
muted. I see your lips are moving, but I can't hear you.
So Tamara did bring that to our attention, the nerve endings and stuff. And then we discussed how the vibration just like it, I mean, like we used to jump around and move around all day long. And if you watch kids, it like moves your lymphatic and gets rid of the shit. Basically.
Well, there you go.
What I know is that when you have trauma and anxiety, it creates more nerve endings in the neck. And those nerve endings then create more sensitivity issues, and it's just a spiral, right? And so there's a new treatment now that they're doing for people who have PTSD because, right, every time it's fight or flight, every time they have a recall, then they get more nerve endings here. So now there's a treatment that they're doing that actually causes them to go away so that they can function. So, but the humming is the same thing. I learned that in my acting class in college, the humming, because the calm and the energy in it, that vibration puts everything in alignment, right? So that it doesn't grow. So
Love it. Okay, so I am going to hit stop. We're going to go back to our regular scheduled meeting that's private, but I wanted to get this goodness because Lori was shooting fire and I wanted everyone in this amazing magnetic worthy group to see what it is that we have in store for you, because we don't play small and we go deep because our time is precious, it's valuable, and we're here to support you into your greater self, not comparing to anyone else. And wherever you are and whatever is happening, we're here to support you. And we have an enormous amount of resources in this group so that if you need something more than what we have, we can point you in the right direction to get you what you need, because it's significant to understand what it is that you need, and pushing it aside is not okay. It's not going to get you a greater life. And if you do happen to be a mom or a mentor to someone else, your example is more important than you will ever realize, which also leads back to your health, because the amount of dis-ease that we create from our mind and lack of connection with our heart to acknowledge what it is that we need is really important. And that's what we stand for. So we'd love to have you participate at this point right now. It is free. And when you do commit and register, I promise you, you will not be the same. I guarantee you not to be the same, as long as you show up and then you allow yourself to receive some great blessings, opportunities, friendships, whatever you're specifically wanting, you will find. Yet you need to know what it is that you're looking for. So be clear.
Yeah, and we care. We care because we care about ourselves and love ourselves. So we're just sharing. We get to be ourselves and you get to be yourself. So win-win, win-win-win.